Folks, I just had to get this story to you as soon as possible. We have some breaking news tonight because it is absolutely insane. Donald Trump is continuing his path of terror and his embrace of authoritarianism and his obvious wannabe dictator mentality, and is now claiming that the pardons that President Biden gave to Trump's supposed political enemies are void, that they just don't apply anymore. They have no weight. In a very late night Truth Social post, a 1 a.m. Eastern Time Truth Social post, Donald Trump just wrote, and we're diving right in, quote, "The pardons that Joe Biden gave to the unselect committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by auto pen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime." So he's implicating even more people in his dictatorial scheme. Therefore, those on the unselect committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. The fact is, they were probably responsible for the documents that were signed on their behalf without the knowledge or consent of Joe Biden, who he calls, once again, the worst president of the United States. Now, there is so much wrong with this post. And we're just going to go down a quick list before we continue with the story. Number one, this is obviously false. Donald Trump is making this up. There was no lack of knowledge on President Biden's end. He, of course, was very knowledgeable about these pardons. They were not done in a suspicious way or the proper way. Joe Biden went about them as any other pardon would be done. So this idea that there was some nefarious actions behind the scene is not true. What Donald Trump is doing with that excuse is laying the groundwork to go after his political enemies. He needs some justification to feed the base so that they can go argue on his behalf that actually, no, the pardons weren't proper. It's okay for Donald Trump to go after them. And that's what he's doing here. I mean, that's what he's saying right here. He says that these people on the January 6th committee should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level, that they will be subjected to Donald Trump's DOJ, basically. He is saying this so that he can go after his political enemies. That's what he wants to do. This is something that the Democrats warned people about before the election, that people that are perceived enemies of Donald Trump, whether they have legal protection or not for alleged crimes that Trump would likely make up, he will go after them. He will try to punish them with the Department of Justice. And this list of January 6th committee members includes many of the people that Donald Trump goes after publicly all the time. Benny Thompson, who chaired the committee. Liz Cheney, who of course campaigned with Kamala Harris. A senator now, Adam Schiff, who is also on the committee and has been subjected to a lot of Donald Trump's attacks over the years. These are all people that he talks frequently about going after and has made his intentions clear. And of course, he's lying about their work, saying they deleted all the evidence. There's an over 800-page report on what they found that you can go read right now publicly. Donald Trump refuses to do so because it's quite still unclear whether Donald Trump can read. I know that he can't read anything more than a couple of pages when it doesn't have pictures or line graphs in it because his attention span is that of a goldfish, but you can go read that report right now if you wanted to. So the idea that the evidence is destroyed is lunacy. And I just find it interesting that this is the position that the Republican Party is taking. This is the hill that they're dying on, that people like Liz Cheney, patriots who dedicated their lives to serving this country in some ways that Democrats would disagree with, but certainly on the January 6th committee trying to get to the truth regardless of whether it supports the Democrats or Republicans, folks like that are targets for Donald Trump. But as we all know, he pardoned the January 6th insurrectionists. So he thinks that the people who investigated the attack, tried to get to the bottom of it, regardless of political affiliation, are bad, and that those people should be prosecuted. But the people who actually perpetrated the attack, those who tased police officers, beat them with a variety of weapons, broke into the Capitol building and caused millions of dollars of damage in their quest to stop and hurt and tear down American democracy. Those people in Donald Trump's eyes are great and deserving of pardons. Those pardons are perfectly valid. The pardons for people who are enemies of Donald Trump, or at least his perceived enemies, that's a no-go in his eyes. This is the position that Republicans have to take. And once again, we have to be honest here. It is not hyperbole to say that we are in a constitutional crisis, that Donald Trump is trying to expand his authority as president of the United States. He's trying to use the DOJ to go after his political opponents, which is something that dictators throughout history have done. He's doing it now. But also, we just saw today Donald Trump defy the courts and do so openly. They're not coming up with some excuse saying, oh, no, we didn't do this, like the liberal media, whatever they normally say, is misrepresenting the story. they're just openly saying it. The Trump administration ignored a judge's ruling regarding Trump's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. It's a wartime power act that's only been invoked a couple of times in American history, but now Donald Trump is defending his using of that act and defending his ignoring of a federal judge saying, hey, you can't do that. Donald Trump's administration made a calculated decision to ignore a judge's directive to turn around 2 flights containing hundreds of alleged Venezuelan gang members. Now, it's important to note that under this act, these alleged Venezuelan gang members don't have any due process. So they don't have any ability to go to the government and say, hey, you're wrong. I'm not actually a Venezuelan gang member. And we have many examples of people who have already been detained who have no affiliation with Venezuelan gangs, but the Trump administration doesn't care. The verbal order from Chief Judge of Washington, D.C. District Court, James Boasberg, explicitly told the government to turn around any aircraft that had already departed the country if it was still in the air, saying you shall inform your clients of this immediately. Any plane containing these folks that is going to take off or is in the air needs to be returned to the United States. However that's accomplished, turning around the plane or not embarking anyone on the plane, this is something that you need to make sure is complied with immediately. There is no mincing words there. This is a very clear order by the judge saying, hey, you can't do this. You can't do this. You have to turn around the plane if one's in the air. You can't have any more takeoff. But during that time, while the lawsuit makes its way through the courts, Immigration and Customs Enforcement is meant to keep the non-citizens in custody. However, top lawyers and officials in the administration made the determination that since the flights were over international waters, Boasberg's order did not apply. Basically saying, no, we actually don't think it applies. And they went forward with the order anyway and continued to deport these people regardless of a federal judge saying, you need to turn those planes around if they're in the air right now. The Trump administration knew that they were in the air, said no. Again, something that the Democrats have been warning about for years now of Donald Trump, that if there's a federal judge's order that Donald Trump doesn't like, that Donald Trump doesn't agree with, he will just ignore it. He will say, no, I don't agree, and come up with some weird niche legal reasoning that, oh, the plane is over international waters. It must not apply. These judges, these federal judges, apply to the heads of these agencies. So this plane could be over international water. If the heads of these agencies are conducting business on behalf of the United States, the judge's orders apply to them. The judge's orders apply to them. And think about this. If the idea that if an American's on international waters or on international land, then no American is safe because the Trump administration could just pick up this American, put him over international waters, and then their view is that the courts and whatnot have no jurisdiction over them. It is dictatorial stuff. We're seeing it right now. MAGA is applauding this right now. They're saying, hey, we love no due process. We love people just basically being picked off the street, thrown into a plane, have their head shaved, head bagged, and taken to another country with no connection to their family. They love it. They eat it up. They're applauding it right now. We are in constitutional crisis. If we're not already in it, we are on the verge of being plunged into it. This Truth Social post that Donald Trump put out saying that these executive orders are void confirms all of what we've been saying for years now about Trump, that this is happening right before our very eyes. And if MAGA refuses to acknowledge it, we the people, you at home watching this video, have to speak up and make our voice heard and spread the message that this is what Donald Trump is doing. I had to get this breaking news to you immediately. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you staying informed. You mean a lot. And again, I think that this can be a lot. You should take a break if you need to. Because this is brain numbing. It really is. So listen, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you watching the video. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about this. Of course, share the message around, and we will talk soon.